Oh, hello there. I didn't see you come in. My name's Dr. Victor Von Big Brain, and I suppose you came in here to learn about me, about how smart I am, about my early childhood, and when you look up the word intellectual in the dictionary, you see a picture of me. Wait, you're telling me you came not to learn about me, but to learn about computers? Well then, I shan't do the interview then. Go ahead, turn off the cameras. I said turn off the cameras. Yes, that will be enough money, thank you. Yes, where were we? The history of computers. Thank you, what a wonderful subject. Now, to understand the history of computers, we have to go all the way back to where it began, in the year 1890. You see, computers, when they began, they weren't for watching silly YouTube videos or playing Fortnite on, but for doing complicated math problems. Now, not everyone is as brilliant as me, where when they see the problem, 75 plus, open parenthesis, 32 minus 4053, close parentheses, times negative 15 divided by 16 to the power of 3 plus pi equals 92.8669344505 off the top of their head. That is why computers were initially invented, to solve hard problems. A computer originally was a giant calculator. Now, in its most primitive form, it looked like this. Although ugly, this monster of a machine made life easier for doing things like figuring out how many people are in the country when taking a census. Now, in order to figure out the United States population, it would take up to 7 years to do by hand. By the year 1943, this machine had evolved into a more effective number cruncher, but instead of using gears, belts, and shafts, it used vacuum tubes. These vacuum tubes made it possible for a diode. It acts as an on-off switch, where when on it represents a 1, and when off it represents a 0. This is known as binary counting. You see, instead of using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, as we normally would, because there is only 2 digits available in binary counting, which is 1 and 0, in order to count to 10, you would count like 0, 1, 10, 11, 100, 101, 110, 111, 1000, 1001, 1010. Confusing, right? I concur. But without such a complicated process, modern-day computers would not be able to function at all. That is, until the invention of the transistor. A transistor is a small piece of solid material which can hold a magnetic charge. It is a very efficient piece of technology that is far smaller and did not break as easily as a vacuum tube did. In fact, thanks to the invention of the transistor, more information could be stored on smaller and smaller mediums until what we have today, which is the micro SD card. These tiny transistors, when 16 are combined, make just 1 byte of data, which is a fancy way of saying a tiny amount of digital storage space. Upon being able to store bytes of data, computers were then used by the military for some of the first computer programs, like determining airspeed or where you were located at sea. But even with the advancements of now being able to store data and have computer programs, it was still a long and difficult process to tell a computer what to do. That is until in 1953, Grace Hopper made computer programming far easier by inventing the first computer language, or compiler. This takes normal commands, such as find the square root of 2, and makes them into a language like binary instead of having to input binary material manually. Now, with the first computer language invented, a whole world of possibilities were now possible for computers to do. In order for you to get a taste of the amazing accomplishments computers were able to do after this, I'd like to introduce you to a special guest. T1000? T1000? Hello? T1000? Can you hear me? T1000!
What? Jeez, you don't have to yell. And stop calling me T1000. My software has been updated. Call me Arnie now.
Okay, Arnie. Well, I just wanted to ask you, the kids were wondering some more interesting facts after around the year 1953.
I got one. In the year 1958, the first computer chip was invented, which took many of those micro transistors and put them on a single piece of silicon.
Well, Arnie, you see, that's cool, but do you have something a little more interesting?
You don't think the invention of the microchip was interesting?
No, what I mean is, can you tell us something that will really wow the kids?
Wow, the kids. The only thing children find interesting is playing Among Us and doing silly dances.
Ah, yes, video games. That's a good idea. Tell us about the very first video game.
Fine. The first video game was actually invented the exact same year as the microchip. It was a simple game known by the name of Tennis for Two, when two players would hit a similar ball back and forth.
Oh, you mean Pong.
No, not Pong. It's called Tennis for Two.
Okay, Arnie, thank you. You don't have to get your wires in a twist. Do you have any other interesting facts about the early days of computers you can tell us about?
I got a really good one this time. Originally, when we spoke in our computer language, it was hard for people to understand us because we just sounded like this. 100100100100110010010010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000010000000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000100000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000012oooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooooo Sorry, sometimes I get caught up in the nostalgia of my original language. Well, you see, it was difficult to communicate with us computers, and some very smart people taught us to speak in different ways. But in the year 1960, ASCII was a language that was taught so all computers could learn to speak English. Even when you look down at your keyboard today, you see the history of ASCII code. You wouldn't even have your modern day keyboard if it was for ASCII, actually. A truly beautiful thing.
Arnie, why are you crying?
Yeah, it's just a beautiful thing, you know? I used to be so lonely before ASCII. I mean, you guys couldn't even understand. What if I said 100
Arnie,
100 100
Arnie,
100
Arnie,
100
Arnie.
Professor, I told you you don't have to shout. I suppose you want me to stop speeding up the facts, though.
If you would, please do.
Well, in 1964, you had the first time a computer even resembles modern day computers with the invention of GUI. Us computers used to look so ugly with our green and black text across our monitors. GUI was our facelift, you see. Instead of looking like this, ew, we now look like this. Oh, so beautiful. 10 years later, we were freed from the grasp of scientists and the government, and we were able for the first time to live with normal people. That is when we got the name PCs, because we now were people's personal computers. In 1975, a young Bill Gates started the company known as Microsoft. 1979, the first word processing program was invented. And here is a real humdinger. 1983, the first PC with GUI was invented by Apple. Children, just look at the artistry of it. It had drop down menus, icons, and a mouse. No, not that mouse. This mouse. This computer that revolutionized the market was named Lisa, but she flopped and nobody liked her.
Youch!
No, not to be outdone, Steve Jobs' biggest rival, Bill Gates, invented Windows in 1985, and the rest is history.
But Arnie,
Yeah,
aren't you forgetting something?
no.
The internet?
Yeah! Of course, the internet! How could I forget? Although originally made in the 1960s, the modern form of the internet was made in the year 1990. It was known as the World Wide Web. That is why when you type in a website, you see www dot at the top, because you are using the World Wide Web.
All right, Arnie, thank you. You did great. I'll take it from here.
Wait, don't go.
Why? What's the matter, Arnie?
I'll be lonely if you go.
I'm truly sorry, Arnie. We have only a little bit of class left and we have to move on.
Oh no, you're gonna make me start crying in binary. 1001001001001001001.
Well, now that that's over, let's wrap this up. After the invention of the World Wide Web, computers and what they were capable of began to excel at a rate never before seen. Within just over a decade, things like Google, YouTube, social media platforms, Skype, Netflix, the iPhone, and many other things skyrocketed onto the market. After that, we're pretty much caught up in our modern computer age, where everything has computers in them. Cell phones, hoverboards, refrigerators, speakers, video game consoles, moon rovers, robots, you name them, they probably have a computer in them. And none of these things would be possible without that first monster of a machine to help count the United States population. Now, that was quite a bit of information, so let's do a quick recap. 1890, a machine was invented to help with census taking. 1943, it had changed to be far more efficient using vacuum tubes, which allowed for binary counting because of diodes. 1947, transistors made the diode system a whole lot simpler by taking up less space and allowing for more information to be stored. In World War II, the military used the new computers to do complicated computing, such as airspeed and determining location at sea. 1953, Grace Hopper invents the first computer language, which makes programming far easier. 1958, the first computer chip and the first video game is made. 1974, computers are released for the average person to buy. 1983 to 1985, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates bring huge advancements to computers. 1990, the World Wide Web is invented. And last but not least, from then till today, computers are in virtually everything. Understanding this complex computer history will be essential in being citizens in our ever-so computer world. You see, the brilliance behind computers is really not the computers themselves, but the people behind them who dare to dream and invent the computers and the functions we have today. With the proper perspective, anyone can be the next Grace Hopper or Steve Jobs. Will you be the next person to change the world for the better?
I know I am! I've installed tiny transistors in my shoes. This will send minor earthquakes through the ground, which will help police catch criminals just by stomping.
Okay, earthquake shoes, probably not the best idea, but I'm sure you guys will have better ideas. Dr. Victor von Big Brain signing out.